uncertainty for the country until after the next election. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Jason Johnson is a professor of political science and communication at Hiram College. He joins us now from Atlanta in the U.S. state of Georgia. Hi there, Jason. So as Patty said in her report, previous budget fights have shut down the government. Could things get worse now?
I don't think that's all that likely. I think many of the Republicans who are in the Senate now, the upper chamber, they're concerned about their chances in 2016. You have Senator Rand Paul, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Marco Rubio, possibly Lindsey Graham. They don't want a government shutdown to be on their heads when they're running in only about a year and a half. So a shutdown is not likely, but a long-term fight with the president, that's pretty much what's going to happen.
Now, President Obama wants to increase taxes on the wealthy. Do you see that becoming a reality anytime soon?
No, not anytime soon. Look, there are several things that the president has laid out in this budget that many Republicans actually agree on. The idea of taxing foreign income for U.S. corporations is something that many Republicans have said that we need to do for years, that there's way too much money that comes from American work that gets hidden overseas. The problem is he going to find a majority of Republicans, especially in the House, who will support him? I think that's pretty unlikely. There may have to be a negotiation between the upper and the lower house for that to actually occur.
Now, how much of what's going on there is all about politics between the Republicans and the Democrats, about trying to make the Democrats perhaps look weaker ahead of the elections in 2016?
Oh, it's always been about politics since President Obama got into office. Look, I mean, if you really think about it, this budget says tax American income that's been hidden and use that money to rebuild roads and rebuild bridges. There's no one in their right mind in this country, including most American voters, who think that that's a bad idea. But the Republicans are primarily dead set on preventing the president from appearing to be competent in his agenda because they want to appear as though they're the only people who can come up with a conclusion. So most of this is about politics because the ideas themselves, they're not even really originating from the Obama White House. These are old ideas from the Bush administration, the Clinton administration. Improving infrastructure is usually an absolutely neutral issue, except during this administration.
Now, President Obama said that he'll veto certain things like more sanctions on Iran and that Keystone Pipeline. How will he deal with objections against the budget?
Well, I think the president's going to stand firm no matter what on increased sanctions against Iran. But I have always believed that deep down, he would be willing to negotiate with the Republican Party on the Keystone Pipeline if they would be willing to negotiate on some areas like taxes and perhaps lifting some of the sequestration costs that have been on the government. I don't think President Obama really cares that much as to whether the Keystone Pipeline has been made, given how cheap oil is and gas is in the United States right now, but he's using that as sort of a defense mechanism to say, look, I will sign off on this if you Republicans are willing to work with me. And I think we may see that happen with perhaps raising some of the taxes on the wealthy, but it's not going to be a large amount.
Jason, as ever, thank you very much for speaking to us. Jason Johnson there for us in Georgia. Now, still ahead on the program, the parents of 43 missing Mexican students arrive in Geneva to speak to the United Nations. And we report